Alright, before I get started here, I have reached 16,000 subs, and that means that one Dazzler Pass is guaranteed to be given away February 1st, but every 1,000 subs in January, I add plus one Dazzler Pass to that total, and that 17,000 subs will add plus one Dazzler Pass to the giveaway, but we'll also have this bonus incentive where I'll rank 3 Kang or OG Thanos. So yeah, if you want to be a part of this, subscribe, and yeah, let's get started with the video. And this one's a special one. I've talked about it before, I've hyped it up before, and yeah, here we go. Void is a very old character. He is from, I believe, 2018, so pretty much 7 years old now. And there are very few champions that, just like Void, are both old and good. So when I was like making this video, I was a bit skeptical and scared that he wouldn't hold up to, like, you know, the standard these days. But what's the best way to test someone's relevance? It's by taking them to the most relevant pieces of content right now and seeing how they perform. Speaking of, right now we're in the Alliance War Showcase, which is literally the newest piece of content to be released in the game. And this is the Secular Attack Tactic, which he actually is a part of and is actually very good for it because he does have access to debuffs, and to access the attack tactic you have to inflict 5 debuffs. Now Resonate does play a big part in this as well, but he is keeping control of the fight very easily, and he is like making the regen non-existent and even reversing the power gain that White Tiger has. So yeah, very good for that White Tiger fight, but that's just an appetizer, you know, we gotta go a bit higher, and we are going to test him against the Destroyer boss in this Alliance War Showcase. This is like a very beefy health pool Destroyer, and you know, it's also Destroyer, who is pretty annoying if you ask me, but usually for boss fights, Void is still to this day one of the safest options because of his very high health pool and his very safe playstyle. This has been a thing since 2018 when this character first came out, because when he first came out, people really value just how safe he is and his very solid utility set. Now his utility set is playing a part in this matchup too, because the Destroyer has a power gain that activates once he hits 100 destruction charges. So once he hits those 100 charges, he will gain this massive power gain, and you pair that with the Alliance War Tactic power gain as well, he is a very dangerous character with this tactic, because there is just a ton of power gain coming at you from all sources. But with Void, once you drop the SP1 and get like 2 petrifies up, he is very good at just completely blocking out the power gain, and if the node allows, he will also reverse it completely. There I get hit, I forget about his unstoppable thing, that's on me, right? But he's still making very good work and like making very good pace in this Alliance War fight. And keep in mind, right, Void, since day one, has never been known for his damage output. That is the big disclaimer for this video. You won't see the like best fight times out there, it won't be the prettiest fight time for sure, but Void has always been a champion favored because of his safetiness and his just overall ease of use. And this is on pure display right now because he is just absolutely handling this Destroyer with absolute ease. He is reversing the power gain from Destroyer, and now the tactic power gain is active, but he's also keeping control of that because of the attack tactic, which he activates because of his easy access to debuffs. So this is why Void is just so good at like managing these type of matchups, since usually he has everything equipped to take care of it very easily, and this is like a prime example of that. And then again, the DOT damage is pretty solid right now. We're doing 7,000 light attack crits, not too shabby in the slightest for a champion that, you know, is purely DOT. And for reference, this is a Sig 100 Void. He does have more damage at Sig 200, but even at Sig 100, he is still making pretty decent work of this Destroyer and just handling all the utility requests that this Destroyer fight demands. And yeah, drop the relic, fight's done, and that was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which isn't bad for a boss fight, right? That's an unboosted boss fight, by the way. You know, usually in like Alliance War, you are just filled to the core with boost, and it does make the fight time a whole lot faster, especially those boss matchups, but Void, unboosted, still did pretty well in that scenario. Now we have the next meta content, which is the Necropolis, and especially for Void, this is very, very relevant because he is currently a part of a Necropolis challenge. It is the Carinus Challengers one, and he does a very good job of taking care of this Diablo, pretty much like the fastest out of all the options. I'm pretty sure anyway. Yeah, he is a very fast like option for this Diablo, who otherwise is relatively annoying since there is a lot to manage in this fight, and all the phases are like meant to make it harder to manage those things. However, with Void, there is one thing that like just makes it so much easier than like all the other options, and it's the fact that Void has access to heal reversal, and Diablo regens a lot in this fight. And by the way, that regen without a counter can make it very, very tough to get him down. So yeah, you want to have someone that can like at least stop the regen, right? But Void, he takes the extra step and he reverses that regen. Now, Void back in the day, he was always known to like stop healing and reverse it. That like paired with like his power gain reversal as well is what made him such a vital character in like Alliance War especially, but also like certain nodes in the game such as Buffet and Masochism, he was also very, very good for. Now, this is like just showing you what he does against those heal matchups, and like look at this Necropolis fight just like get absolutely melted, right? You never see anything like this unless it is a heal reverse matchup, and like Void in this scenario I think does do it the best because Void does take time to ramp up his heal reversal, and an Necropolis health pool is the perfect place to get that ramp up going. So that's why he is so good for this matchup, especially since 1, he is part of a challenge that requires you to do this fight, and 2, this is like the perfect health pool to showcase his regen reversal, if you ask me. Of course, he can get it like, you know, activated a whole lot sooner, but it's like especially cool to see it in this like really high health pool fight where like they are just melting like hundreds of thousands of health just because he is activating that regen. It is absolutely silly. Like right there, absolute craziness, man. It's a very satisfying thing to watch. But yeah, here we go back in, we drop the SP1 again, and the fight's like just about over. Like one more SP1 from Diablo with like 2 petrifies up should really do the job. So here he drops it like after a bit of a delay, but that's okay. The regen is up, the healing is getting absolutely reversed, and yeah, this matchup is just done, man. Like he just cannot do anything whatsoever. He drinks the potion, his health is going down all the way down, and yeah, the fight is done, and that's a 3-minute Necropolis solo. Now let's go into 9.1, which is the newest piece of content story quest wise to be released, and I am not kidding, we are just testing him in those new areas. The oldest piece of content in this video is either Necropolis or 8.4. So that should show you that, yeah, this is make or break for Void, because this is all the new relevant stuff. This isn't like the older stuff like 8.1, 7.4. This is like as new as it gets for a champion, and we even did content that was released like literally 2 days ago, right? So this is pretty much like the maximum I can do when it comes to testing out an old gem and new content. So let's see how he does against this longshot boss. Now, he's always been a very good longshot counter, especially in Alliance War where like Mystic Dispersion is a thing, because once he gets his debuffs going, he does reverse Mystic Dispersion, and that's another reason why he was so good in Alliance War. And here's the cool thing, he is still one of the most used Alliance War attackers if the tactic favors him, because like I said, it's all about that safety with this champion. He is a safe option for so many different matchups. Is he the fastest? No, he's not, right? There are faster options. He's only really fast if there are extra debuffs to take advantage of, but in this video, it's solely Void, right? There is no Mr. Fantastic, there is no like other external debuffs except the debuffs from strikers. And that's a whole different topic that I'm going to talk about right now. Let's talk about the addition of strikers in this game and what that did for Void. Now, when Void was like released, there was no sign of strikers whatsoever, right? No sign of relics, nothing of the sort. Now in like 2025, relics are, you know, a very known thing, a very common thing for sure. Like there are a lot of nodes that favor relics, and relics have really made Void a whole lot better, since most science relics give an additional debuff that he can take advantage of, because how Void works is he does damage to the opponent for each unique debuff, and that is not even just like his own personal ones, it's just any debuff. So that's why he is so good with like Mr. Fantastic, and that's why he's really good with a majority of the science relics as well. It is just an additional debuff that he can definitely take advantage of, and it honestly does help him a lot, because like I said before, his damage output, it's not what he's known for, right? He's not known to be a damage stealer. So having access to more damage for this character is honestly very, very helpful. So yeah, I think that relics did change Void for the better. They changed a lot of champions for the better. There isn't really one that's like designed for him, but there are a lot that he does like interact with very well. So yeah, I think that Void, like so far, has shown that he is aging very well in the contest. Is he like the fastest fight time out there in these higher health pools? Absolutely not, right? But these higher health pools actually are good for him since they let him get going, right? Like smaller health pools, you don't really see the real power of the Void, but with these higher health pools, you activate the Fear of the Void like pretty much halfway through the fight. And in like some cases anyway, right? Other cases it's a bit earlier, but yeah, this is a node where like you want to have a Petrify active, because if the opponent isn't petrified, you will take Thorns damage, but he has very easy access to Petrify sometimes, right? That's the thing about Void. That's one thing to note about with this character. Since the beginning of time, it's always been a dice roll to determine the start of the matchup, right? Sometimes it's like, yo, this guy has Petrify right off the bat. This is crazy. He stops the fight immediately, right? Other scenarios, you get 2 fatigue and 2 agility, and you don't really get the Petrify until the final 5 and 6th debuff. So that's just how it is, right? So to like really see how he does, in like this matchup, like on average, I'm gonna do 2 of like this quest lane, like 2 fights from this quest lane to see how they compare. So the first fight, which was the Mordo, he got the Petrify immediately, which immediately stopped the Thorns damage, right? Let's see how it compares to this Hyperion. So far, we're taking some Thorns damage because we haven't triggered it yet, and as you can see right there, we got double agility before 1 Petrify. That's just like how it is, right? It sometimes it's just like that, right? And that's like the 2018 effect of this champion. You know, like 2018 characters, they weren't really designed to like be surefire to like get utility ASAP. And you know, some of them were just like pure dice rolls, right? For example, Domino, the absolute like dice roll of dice rolls. Hyperion 2016, like almost 2017, another dice roll character. Now here's the thing with Void. I call him safe and I call him easy to use because it is easy to use him, and he is a safe champion since he eventually gets to that Fear of the Void where he does stop all power gain and all healing. Now, I didn't talk about the like starting process of that, where if you need immediate like Petrify, he might not be your main guy unless you like taking chances, and I love taking chances, so he's gonna be my main guy for sure. But like I was saying, this is where like the higher health pools come into play, because when like it's higher health pools, you don't mind taking that like little time at the start to ramp up, because the health pools are high anyway. It's good to have like that space to ramp up. And by the way, this Hyperion is just getting demolished once we got that second Petrify active plus the Fear of the Void, he just doesn't gain power. It's very, very satisfying. But now we have this Dynamo Thorjane Foster, and this is a fight where, like I said before, the Petrify at the start isn't completely necessary, so we can take the time to ramp up Void to get to that Fear of the Void state. However, like I said, sometimes it just goes your way, and I got the Petrify at the start immediately, and I'm not kidding, this was my first attempt at this fight. Like first attempt into Petrify, just like that. Very, very satisfying. You'll love to see it. That is the good Void start. And like I said, the worst Void start is like getting the agility and the fatigue like 2 times before the first Petrify, but like the odds of that, very, very low. And plus, like I said, with these higher health pools, he can survive with that. Like, that's okay. He'll be just fine, right? Now we have the 2 Petrifies up, so the node is just taken care of. And yeah, this fight is pretty much over now because of the... I forgot the name of the node, I'll be honest. I forgot what it's called, but it's the one where like you have to drop the special attack in time, and the fight's done anyway, so let's just move on. Just kidding, it's the same node again, so I can think about it more. What's the name of the node? I honestly have no idea. It's on the Namor, on the 7.4 Namor boss. I just cannot remember it. I am so sorry, but yeah, you want to activate your special attack while the timer is expiring so you get an extra Fury passive. It is a pretty massive Fury, and right there, start with the Petrify immediately. I promise you, my first attempt as well. It just sometimes works out into a second Petrify. Like, there is a good Void start, and then there is the best Void start. That is the best Void start by far. And like I said, is it urgent to start with the Petrify? Only situationally. Otherwise, you can like survive with like not having it for a bit. But if you have it immediately, the fight is just won. You win. That's it. Because that's when Void has like his maximum control. And that's where Void excels, where the fight is under his control and he just doesn't have to do much outside of that because he doesn't really have to worry about any regen or like any power gain since that is completely under lock. So yeah, that's when like the Void start is the best possible, and this fight is done. So that was a clean one. That was very, very good. Good fight time as well. Now we have the finale here. We have this 1.2 million health Sasquatch boss, and I picked this to end the video because this reminds me of like a war boss, like a Sasquatch war boss. And back in the day when Sasquatch was brand new and like we were begging for counters to this character, there were 2 champions that took him the greatest. First one is Human Torch, who sounds crazy, but he is an old gem, right? Like, he is at that age. And also Void. Human Torch was the faster option, Void was the safer option. That's how it's always been with those 2 competing science characters, right? Human Torch, he'd get you the flashy solo, he'd get you the fast solo. Void has always been the safest champion to use versus these scary mystic defenders. Is it the same case today? Right? Are there any champions that are as safe as Void? It really depends, right? It depends on the meta, it depends on the tactic, but usually, I think I have to say, like, not really. I think that just Void will always have that, like, benefit of just being a massive, just, like, comfort blanket for so many players. And the fact that he's a comfort blanket for so many players also means that there's a nostalgia factor to this champion too, since he's been carrying those players for such a long time, and they just want that to continue since like Void is their boy. And you know, Void is such a cool character, right? Like, I am happy that he is still performing very well in 2025, and like he is still used all the time for like Alliance War and game modes like that are similar to that. Is he a Battlegrounds champion? Absolutely not. He is a pretty good defender sometimes, so like there is that at least, but for like Battlegrounds attack, he is not really meant for that. But when it comes to just like game modes where fight time doesn't really matter and you just want to get the fight done safely, there are very few champions that are safer than a fully boosted Void, right? Because 1, his health pool is massive, 2, he is a very safe champion to play, there is almost no rotation besides just drop the SP1, And like given his massive health pool, like I said, and like his complete control of the fight, he is genuinely one of the best control champions in the game to this day. So yeah, when it comes to like, is this champion still relevant? I think so long as people need a safety net in this game, he is going to be a very safe champion for like years to come, right? Because I think we always have like one champion that is just like our safety net, right? And for the science class, I struggle to see anyone that is that besides Void. I can like think of a few, but this isn't their time. This is Void's time in the sun. And I feel like he will still shine bright for a couple of years. And as we close out this video, I just want to say that I did really enjoy playing this champion, and I honestly love making these old gem videos because these are champions that I grew up playing with, and I grew up like watching others play. Like I used to watch Brian Grant's Alliance War videos with his Void all the time, right? And it's like fun just seeing like how these characters perform in 2025, and I think we started off the right way because when it comes to Void, I think he does pass. I think he does still do very, very well in 2025 as the like safety net and like the comfort blanket of the science class that has gotten better with relics and like with health pools getting higher. So yeah, Void, very, very fun champion and like just a very safe champion that I really do enjoy. So let me know your thoughts on the old gem series. I hope you had a fun weekend, and I hope that my videos helped your weekend, you know, be a little bit better. And yeah, that's about it for me.